The movie begins by introducing Matt Simmons at work. He informs his partner that he needs to leave and asks him to take over his duties. Then, Matt takes his brother-in-law Marcus to the workplace. He asks Marcus to hand him the medicine, and Marcus asks if Matt will play again. Matt says he will try to participate in the game that night. Later, we meet Peter, who is on vacation traveling across the country with his family. During a stop at a convenience store, Isabel, the couple's daughter, becomes bored and decides to explore the small town. Matt arrives at his girlfriend Amelia's workplace and lets her know that he will be playing that night, which causes her concern. Matt reassures her, stating that he will be careful and that it will be the last game of the season. Amelia decides to support him and says she will see him later. Upon leaving, Ellen, Amelia's mother, reveals that Matt fainted during the last game, which further worries Amelia. Meanwhile, Jackson, another player, finds out he will be a father and celebrates with his teammates. A loud noise begins to echo from the vehicle, disturbing everyone present. Vanessa quickly turns off the sound, and they wonder what that was, but without giving it much importance, return to the field to prepare. In the bathroom, Matt gets ready when the coach arrives to call him. Heading to the field, the mayor interrupts him, asking him not to exert himself too much, as he doesn't want to see him hurt, since everyone in town admires him. The announcer announces Matt's presence, bringing joy to the fans. As he enters the field, Jackson approaches and warns that there will be a scout at the game, asking Matt not to interfere. Ignoring the warning, Matt makes an incredible play, irritating Jackson, who walks away. Soon, the game starts, and Peter looks for his daughter, who had gone out to stroll. After searching for her, he finds her and expresses his relief, asking her not to wander off again. Isabella, however, responds that he can't just show up out of nowhere and expect to be a model dad. Suddenly, the power at the venue goes out, intriguing everyone. They observe strange lights in the sky, which soon become intense, revealing themselves to be alien ships launching various attacks. Everyone begins to run for safety. Isabella, who is running to protect herself, is knocked down by someone else. Marcus sees this and rushes to help her, picking her up and urging her to keep running. Isabella soon finds her father and ends up separating from Marcus, while he remains paralyzed on the field. Amelia arrives to find Marcus, and Matt shows up asking if they are okay and where Ellen is. Worried, Amelia heads back to look for her mother and finds her being taken by aliens. Reluctant to leave her, Amelia is held back by Matt, who informs her that nothing can be done at that moment. The aliens notice their presence and, frightened, decide to flee. Some players attempt to resist the attack but are quickly eliminated. The attack continues relentlessly, both on the ground and in the air, as Matt and his family try to escape. Peter is in the trailer with Isabella, who spots Marcus in the distance and asks them to come to her. They do so, and on the way, Matt helps carry the announcer who has been shot. Peter, shouting and searching for his family, approaches Matt and warns that they need to leave. Peter insists he can't leave without his family, but Matt tells him they won't survive if they stay there, and promises to help him find them, but they need to stay alive for that. At that moment, a shot hits the trailer, making them rush inside to save themselves. Before they leave, Vanessa in the distance begs them to wait for her. Amelia steps out and asks them to wait a little longer, but they are anxious as the creatures are getting closer. The couple proceeds, but along the way, Jackson's friend is hit by a shot. Jackson goes back to check on him, but Vanessa realizes he is dead and urges them to leave. The couple enters the trailer, and suddenly, a man appears asking for help at the window. Matt tells him to get out and asks Peter to speed up the car, as the situation is chaotic. They quickly begin to leave the area, while the rest of the population is subdued by the beings. On the way, they need to dodge various obstacles, including people running to save themselves. When they reach the exit, they find it blocked. They ask Peter to take a detour through the cornfield, and he does so. As they proceed, Vanessa, who is a nurse, starts to care for the injured man. They manage to reach the highway and turn on the radio to try to find out something, but there is no signal. At the end of the road, they notice a strong light, and suddenly, a ship appears to attack them. They keep moving forward when the invading ship is shot down, and Peter notices that the Air Force has arrived to help them. Matt warns that he will check the ship and tells Peter to keep the engine running. The couple approaches, and Amelia worries because she believes the pilot may be alive. Matt comments that this is not the case, as he thinks it is a remotely controlled drone. At that moment, the announcer asks them to return as a light is coming in their direction. They prepare to flee, but Matt notices something and approaches to check. Matt realizes it is Arnold, and Denny jumps out of the car, revealing that he hitched a ride. Arnold is furious because Denny has been stealing his fruit for some time, but he informs him that there is no time for fighting and says he knows a place for them to hide. Arnold agrees and tells them to follow him, as he knows a shortcut. They arrive at the old lumber mill and Denny asks them to make themselves at home, but Peter calls Matt on the promise and asks about the plan. Matt tells him to relax and says they need to rest before acting. Arnold suggests that someone needs to keep watch and offers just like Denny. Later, Matt is feeling unwell and takes his medicine when Amelia approaches. She asks if he was serious about the promise, and he replies that yes, he will help Peter. She is worried about him and asks if the medicine is still good. Irritated, Matt asks for a moment to think, but soon calms down and apologizes. He says he is scared of all this but believes the army is already fighting back. The next morning, they prepare a camp, and Amelia appears shouting for Matt. He approaches and asks what happened, and she warns that they need to see something. They follow her and discover a massive alien ship in the sky. Everyone returns to the camp hopeless, and Jackson says he will get as far away from there as possible. Before leaving, he asks what Matt's plan is and if anyone there has experience with shootings. Isabella approaches and says her father does, but Peter asks her to stop. Arnold approaches and asks if he has killed another man, to which Isabella replies that yes. Again, Peter interrupts, saying he was locked up for 7 years and has been free for a month. Arnold comments that this is good, but claims he is not a killer, even though he knows how to use a rifle. Dennis also offers to fight, but Jackson does not like that group and tells Vanessa to hurry. Vanessa refuses to leave the group. Matt tells Jackson that if he wants to leave, he can go, but he will return to the city to look for his families. Noticing that Vanessa will not go with him, Jackson decides to stay and help. At night, Matt, Dennis, and Amelia go to the city in search of supplies. Suddenly, a ship appears and scans the area for survivors, and they quickly hide. Dennis thinks this is madness and that they cannot fight against that, and Matt tells him to be quiet. After searching the area and finding nothing, the enemy ship departs. Matt finds some tools and hands them over to the two, and they continue on to the city. In the city, they find the creatures holding the townspeople hostage and hide so as not to be seen. Later, they approach the prisoner's cell, and Amelia asks about her mother. The woman responds that she was taken with some other prisoners, and Matt shows her Peter's family photo. However, the woman says she doesn't know anything and tells them to flee as the creatures are coming back. Before leaving, Matt warns that he will come back to help them. The group manages to hide in time and sees the large ship landing. Seizing the moment, they decide to return to camp. The rest of the group is worried if they will survive or not, as the situation is critical. Peter asks everyone to stay calm, but Jackson wants to leave. Vanessa does not want to go with him, but he does not care and tries to leave. He is stopped by Peter, who draws a gun and tells him to return to his place, warning that nobody will leave the area. Peter goes outside to talk to Isabella when the rest return. They enter, and Peter asks about his family, and Matt warns that they are being held hostage in the old factory. Donna adds that they won't be leaving anytime soon, and the announcer questions how he can know that. When he goes to answer, the light from the ship shines into the house, forcing them to run. They scatter and hide throughout the house while an alien begins to search the place. The creature moves closer to Matt's group and is about to shoot when Peter appears shooting at it. However, the bullets have no effect, as the creature wears tough armor. It prepares to shoot Peter when Matt decides to act and jumps on the alien, pushing it against the wall. He tries to confront it hand to hand, but the creature proves superior and throws him to the ground. Dunnett is also grabbed by a creature that pulls him through the wall, and Arnold runs to help him. They manage to bring it down, and all begin to attack it simultaneously. However, the monster is strong and manages to knock them down. Vanessa appears holding the alien's weapon, and with a shot, manages to kill it. They then head to help Matt, grabbing the creature while Peter shoots fatally. Amelia urges them to leave urgently, and Arnold suggests getting rid of the bodies and taking the weapons. While taking the creature outside, Jackson fears they will be hunted for killing it, but Amelia states that this would happen anyway. Matt removes the creature's helmet, revealing a terrifying face, shocking the group. Curious, he prepares to put the helmet on, but is alerted by his companions. Ignoring the warning, he puts on the helmet and begins to see the world differently, perceiving life around him. The group asks what he sees, and Matt explains that the helmet detects life forms, and as the forest is full of beings, they become nearly invisible. Amelia states that they must fight, as the creatures have come to stay. Everyone agrees, and Arnold says they can attack without being seen, but an alien ship is watching them. In the following days, they begin training under Arnold's guidance and prepare for the offensive. The group ambushes the aliens, eliminates enemies, steals weapons, and prepares to free the hostages. Armed, they invade the factory, rescue the hostages, and face more creatures. Matt leaves a warning before the arrival of the others, who confront the trail of destruction. A few days later, Isabella records a video commenting on the invasion. She mentions that her father is still hoping to find his wife and child, but admits that she no longer believes that. Isabella reveals that the group is holding strong and helping Marcus take care of the people. In one scene, we see that she shows interest in Jackson. She ends the recording, feeling the need to document everything. Arnold explains to Matt that they need to cut off the supply of the invaders to undermine their morale. But first, they need to discover the enemy's strategy. During a patrol, Jackson and Marcus see a ship poisoning the river that supplies the group. They run to warn the others. They decide to move to the mountains, and after their departure, the enemies arrive to investigate, but it is already too late. Days later, the war continues. They face the invaders with courage and also suffer casualties while Isabella continues documenting her experience. 8 months later, Matt and Amelia are chased by ships in a cornfield, where they find a hidden, armed, and scared girl named Chloe. Amelia, noticing that she is severely injured, asks if it was the aliens who did this, and the girl confirms. Amelia manages to get her to give up the weapon and also receives an object from Chloe. Suddenly, the girl is grabbed, causing the couple to flee, and during the escape, Matt is captured by a creature, but Amelia manages to injure it and free him. Giving them time to escape, more creatures soon appear. Meanwhile, Arnold and the rest of the team prepare to blow up the invaders' supply barn. When Matt and Amelia return, Arnold activates the detonator and destroys all the enemy supplies. Everyone celebrates and leaves the area, except for Amelia, who watches the creatures, realizing they also have children and nurture feelings for them. The group returns to camp with good news, but Vanessa calls them to see something. When they reach the tent, they realize their allies have captured an enemy soldier. Matt disagrees, but Jackson argues that he has been obeying him for months and that they need to hear someone else. He questions whether they took care not to be followed, and Jackson confirms. Jackson informs that they had 2 casualties, but escaped with Isabella's help. Peter scolds his daughter for going out without permission, but she calls him an idiot and storms out. Amelia does the same with Marcus, who asserts he is an adult and can make his own decisions. Matt reveals that the aliens are experimenting on humans. Arnold suggests they need to get them out of there, and Peter, furious, attacks the creature, but is pushed away by his peers. Vanessa asks Jackson to end the aliens' suffering, but Amelia refuses and wants to talk to Matt. She asks why he let this happen, and Matt replies that he cannot blame them. Amelia insists that violence is not the solution, but Matt defends that they deserve this for invading Earth. Amelia states it won't solve anything, and that the ship isn't leaving because of this. Matt says he will continue, as that is what their lives have become. Amelia, taking advantage of the creature being alone, shows the object she got from Chloe. The alien asks her to bring the object closer, typing something that generates a hologram showing they have been monitoring Earth for a long time. At that moment, Matt reappears, takes the object from her hand, and asks what she is doing, but she does not answer and leaves. Denny meets up with Isabella, and they begin to talk about their new lives. Then he hands her a drawing he made of her. This makes Isabella happy, and the two become closer. Then they step away from the camp to have an intimate moment. The council gathers to decide on the creature, and Peter asks Matt for permission to kill it. Matt agrees, but Jackson tries to stop him, believing the alien could be useful. They cannot stop him, and Peter begins to beat it to death. Arnold and Amelia enter the cabin and realize what has happened. Amelia is disappointed. Arnold asks if they are satisfied and says that Peter should have remained in jail. Matt then gathers people to rescue the hostages and collect supplies. Marcus offers to go, and Matt accepts. Arnold disagrees, claiming they are tired after patrolling all night. Matt says he doesn't need to go and can rest, but he insists that he will, because he is tired of burying people. Amelia leaves the camp and goes to the invaders, where she finds them enslaving some people. She sneaks in and manages to take something from them and quickly leaves the area. Meanwhile, back at the camp, Vanessa begins to go into labor, and Isabella runs to help her. However, Vanessa asks someone to call Jackson as she needs him. A group member runs to Jackson and informs him that Vanessa is giving birth. Jackson quickly starts to run back, but suddenly they are ambushed by the creatures who begin to shoot. In the confrontation, Arnold is injured and his colleagues drag him behind the car. Matt tries to return fire, but an explosion sends him flying and he ends up fainting. Meanwhile, at the camp, a ship appears overhead. Desperate, they quickly grab Vanessa and manage to get out before the explosion. The armor of the creature they had captured had a tracker. The explosions keep going without stop, and the attacks happen from all sides. They are cornered and drag Matt to safety. Vanessa continues in labor, and more aliens approach the camp. The announcer, noticing that Vanessa is drawing them in, tries to kill her, but is stopped by Peter, who pushes him away. After a fierce struggle, Vanessa manages to have her daughter with Isabella's help, while Peter fights the announcer and manages to throw him away, knocking his head and knocking him out. Vanessa starts to feel unwell and asks Isabel to ask Jackson to take good care of her daughter. Then she ends up dying due to severe bleeding. Peter approaches to try to revive her, but gives up upon realizing that she is gone. Meanwhile, Matt's group continues to be massacred and finds themselves hopeless amidst the chaos. Suddenly, the army appears with a tank and begins to help them, asking them to come to them. The soldiers also arrive at the camp to help them, and Amelia arrives as well, becoming desperate when she sees Vanessa on the ground. She begins to panic, asking what happened and asking the soldiers to bring a doctor. Jackson arrives on the scene and begins to panic as well, refusing to accept her death. Amelia tells him to accept her departure and asks him to be strong for his daughter. Later, they bury their friends' bodies, and Marcus comes to inform about Matt. Amelia runs to see him and notices that he is gravely injured. The next morning, the soldiers head to their base and comment that they heard about them. The soldier says that they returned because of their resistance, and they consider them heroes. Later, Amelia is with Matt, who is under observation. The army command asks how he is, and she says he is recovering. She takes the opportunity to show what she stole from the monster's harvest. The commander smiles and says he still prefers their peaches, then asks if she has any idea what is happening. Amelia gathers the group and informs them that because of the ship close to the atmosphere, some cities are flooded, others destroyed, and the government leaders have disappeared or hidden. Peter says that now they are safe with the army, but says he needs to return to look for his family. Amelia starts crying and says she will go back with him to the factory, but asks him to be patient. The lieutenant who was listening to the conversation asks about this factory. Amelia explains that it is where they keep the hostages from the city, and the lieutenant says they need to see the commander. The commander tells them that reconnaissance has discovered that the creatures have some biological weapon to eliminate them, and they discovered that the weapon was transferred to Sydney, where it will be the target of their attack. The major explains that they intend to cause a distraction at the facility and destroy any means of creating this virus again, and the distraction will be used for their escape. The commander asks if they can help the major complete this plan, and they agree. They prepare to leave, but Jackson says he is giving up on this and leaves the area. The group, along with the soldiers, start to leave for Sydney to execute the mission. On the way, they prepare for the attack, and during the journey, they encounter several enemies. Amelia asks the soldier to take a shortcut. The order is accepted, and they make the detour and manage to pass safely. The major says that from there, they need to walk, as they cannot pass by car. They also see the slaves in the fields and intend to help them. A woman tries to escape but is quickly killed by an enemy commander. Peter spots his family and warns Isabella. Amelia decides to stay to rescue the hostages, and the Major agrees to help. Back at the base, the commander discovers that everything is a trap and that the virus never left the city. Jackson asks about his friends, and the commander reveals that she will not send any more men, leaving them alone. Desperate, Jackson rushes to Matt, who is unconscious, and pours water on him to wake him up. Jackson explains the situation and that they need to act quickly or Amelia and Marcus will die. Before leaving, he asks Arnold to take care of his daughter and promises to return. The duo sets off to help their friends, while Amelia's team prepares to attack. Matt and Jackson get close to the factory and prepare to blow it up. Jackson asks Matt if he understood the plan, and he confirms. Simultaneously, the central base is attacked, and the soldiers react. Amelia's team engages in a confrontation, but Amelia is hit by an explosion and falls unconscious, recovering soon after. Matt, hearing the gunfire, wants to go back to help, but Jackson insists they must continue. They enter the factory, free the hostages, and warn them to get away as they are going to blow everything up. Matt finds the enemy's central command and quickly defeats two creatures. As he investigates, he discovers the virus, but a creature rises behind him and throws him to the ground. Meanwhile, Amelia's team faces problems with the enemy commander, who offers to fight alone. In the factory, Matt brings down an enemy, but the superiors appear. Speaking in a human tongue, they demand that he peacefully hand over the virus, but Matt refuses and is soon surrounded. He warns that if they shoot him, he will destroy the virus, forcing them to start over. Jackson approaches, ready to attack. Matt mentions that he saw the aliens' destroyed world, and an alien agrees, stating that they learned from their mistakes unlike humans. The enemy commander declares that he has no choice, and that they must kill to conquer the planet. Matt replies that this won't happen, and Jackson initiates the assault, eliminating guards. Matt seizes the distraction to escape with the virus while the battle continues, and the soldiers begin to dominate the situation, calling for reinforcements. Military helicopters arrive and open fire on the enemies. The Major confronts the enemy commander in hand-to-hand combat, but is quickly overpowered and thrown to the ground. However, he soon regains his strength and, armed with an alien weapon, finishes off his enemy. The hostages, seeing the situation, grab weapons from the ground and fight. Meanwhile, Matt tries to contact the base, and Amelia hears his voice over the radio. She quickly responds, and Matt expresses his joy at hearing her voice. He warns her that he has the virus and is ready to destroy it, causing her to begin to cry. Amelia pleads with him not to do it, but he insists he has no choices, and before hanging up, tells her where Ellen is. Jackson and Matt face the enemies, and Matt throws the virus to allow Jackson to escape, but he is thrown away by an explosion. Determined to blow up the factory, Jackson asks Matt to take care of his daughter, but Matt does not respond and begins to run with the virus. When Matt is far away, Jackson activates the explosives, causing a large explosion visible to friends and foes. The soldiers manage to overpower the enemies, and Peter reunites with his family. Amelia runs to check if Matt is alive, but she cannot see him and cries at the possibility of having lost her love. They return to the central base, and Amelia realizes that Matt survived and saved her mother. She runs to hug him, and the two share a kiss. Soon after, Arnold appears asking about Jackson. Matt explains that he sacrificed himself to save everyone, and Arnold is saddened by the news. Amelia asks what they will do now, and Matt reveals that their planet was destroyed, leaving little of them, and that they came to Earth because it was their last chance. Hearing this, she approaches the Major and asks to borrow his knife, freeing the enemy hostages. She asks the alien to help her end the war and build a future together. He does not understand immediately, but accepts her proposal for peace. The film ends with Amelia's narration, stating that some enemy units still do not want to unite with them, but that they will continue fighting and overcome this obstacle.